hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight.
Trying.
Y'all tell anybody I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
He is crackhead, he left town.
Peanut butter and crackling.
He kicked his habit back in the joint. Now he's back on point. He's finally home. He's Tyrone.
And that's how we do it, folks. On the MC Bleeding Edge, little Tyrone Bigums, you know. Anyways, welcome out there, amazing audience in the great lands of streaming services, Remel, YouTube, all those great places. Welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. We are here tonight going to be discussing the 4th episode of the She-Hulk series from Disney Plus, which is a super funny episode. Can't wait to talk about it. It's going to be really fun to talk about because it just, you know, this series just gets better and better with each episode, I think. And I think this one really busts the balls, as I like to call it, with this episode. And it's just a really great episode. So, of course, we have a great panel with us. We have, of course, my trusty co-host, Mr. TrueKnowledge, in the house. Say hi.
The humbled co-host of the MCU's Bleeding Edge.
Oh, yes, humbled he is. He is so humble. And, of course, we have returning, who has been on the guest panel a few times now, Mr. Bobby P. This is the first time I've actually gotten to work with him. Good to have him on.
Oh, I'm great. Happy to be here. Ready to talk about She-Hulk.
Awesome. Thank you. And then, of course, we also have coming back a frequent guest of the MCU's Bleeding Edge as well from the GNN Network, Mr. Andrew. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Cyber. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Always. All right, guys. So, like I said, we're talking about She-Hulk episode 4. This one is called "Isn't This Real Magic?" ? Is what this episode is called. So, basically, this episode starts off. We kind of have like a black screen, how it pops up, and then all of a sudden it goes to it looks like a chateau almost, and then all of a sudden it goes inside and there's a magic show going on, and this magic show is being done by a guy that's named Donnie Blaze. Now, I know a lot of people, I saw a lot of things on Facebook, Twitter, all this kind of stuff saying, oh, it was that Johnny Blaze. No, this is not Johnny Blaze. This is just happens to be somebody named Donnie Blaze. So don't worry, people. This has nothing to do with Ghost Rider, but a lot of people got up in arms over this, so they're like, ooh, are we going to see Ghost Rider? No, we don't get to see Ghost Rider in this episode, unfortunately. But we do have a guy named Donnie Blaze. So Donnie Blaze is doing his performance. He does his levitation act a little bit. He does a couple other things before he asks a member of the audience to come up on stage. He has this young lady come up who is inebriated, as you can see. She's very drunk. And her name happens to be Madison, and it's Madison with 2 N's and a Y, but not in the place you think.
She's the standout performer of the freaking episode.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Yes. And so she's up there, and he starts doing his thing, and he does like a flower trick for her, and nobody's really and then the guy over on the side is like, do the thingy. So all of a sudden, he takes out one of those rings that we are familiar with from either Doctor Strange. Wong had one at one point and starts doing the swirly thing, and all of a sudden he opens a portal to somewhere, which we really don't know where it goes to, but they kind of allude to where it is. And she looks behind and she's like, ew, that's gross. And she's like, these flowers don't even smell. And which was absolutely hilarious. And so then all of a sudden after the portal opens and she says that, then it goes to Wong, and he's over in at the Kamajaj, and he's there. He's getting all set up. We all of a sudden hear in the background Sopranos music, and you're like,
the theme,
why are we playing the Sopranos theme here? And it's playing in the background. He's getting his stuff all set up, like he's gonna sit down to enjoy and watch the Sopranos, and all of a sudden she drops out of the ceiling above him, and he's like, "Where did you come from?" And she's like, and she starts to say like where she is originally from and stuff like that, and she has a beating heart in her hand, and which I don't know where she got that, but that was pretty funny. And she begins explaining that he's like, what magician through you through a portal? And she's like, yeah. He's like, Donnie Blaze, isn't it? And they have kind of a little bit of a conversation, and then finally he's like, I'm going to send you home. Where do you live? And she starts to go on again a little bit, and then she kind of walks over to the couch that he's sitting on and sit down and go, oh, this is where what's her name dies, and kind of ruins it for him. And then it goes to the She-Hulk thing. So let's talk about this little beginning scene a little bit here. I want everyone's thoughts on this whole thing, the Donnie Blaze thing, this silly, this Madison character. What's everyone's thoughts on this beginning sequence? What are your thoughts on Madison? What are your thoughts on Wong popping back up already so soon, and the whole Donnie Blaze thing? Starting with you, Bobby P.
I actually like that part. I remember the actor that played Donnie Blaze was Billy Walsh in Entourage, which took me a little while to really recognize him. I was like, that's Billy Walsh. And that just made me love the character even more. But I thought he was great. Like, he was probably my second favorite character, like new character from the show, other than Madison. But I love that part. And I love the dynamic that Wong has with Madison. I thought that was really great.
Totally. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Andrew, your thoughts, sir?
Just like the rest of the internet, I'm completely enamored with the character of Madison. I just love how like she doesn't understand like the threat or seriousness of everything. She's just so like just living in the moment and just like in a drunken stupor. And like throughout the episode, she keeps reminding people how to say her name, and like I just love her dynamic later on. I mean, we're not there yet, but her dynamic with Wong and everything, like how it gets set up here, how she kind of just like she doesn't worry too much about where she is, and she just immediately goes to like spoil. She's like, oh yeah, like I remember this episode, and it's just like Marvel usually nails like these kind of like this type of humor, and like I know a lot of people are kind of just like like it's hit or miss, but I think this was a character where as soon as I saw her, I'm like, oh, it's like a ditzy character, like, oh, I want to hate this, but then like as a episode progressed, I'm like, I really like Madison. I really hope we see more of her in the future.
Yeah.
100%. I totally agree. I think she was a great character. I actually started laughing my butt off as soon as she popped up in Wong's place and started saying some of the things she did. I lost it. I thought it was so stinking funny. It was so perfect. Mr. TrueKnowledge, your thoughts, sir?
She's like the Marvel Cinematic Universe's version of Snooki from
yes. Yeah.
She's
Jersey
like
Shore.
Remember Snooki? Yeah, Jersey Shore. I know it's been forever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes you feel kind of old how old that freaking show used to be. But not that I ever watched it, because I never did, to be honest with you. I spent enough time in Jersey. I don't need to watch a series. Joyzy. Yeah, I apologize, Joyzy. That as my aunts and cousins and uncles and whatnot and pronounce it. But no, she was great. And you're right, Cyber. For the most part, I think that Marvel usually does a good job. They do a good job. Finding, I guess, specific characters to interject into these series or into the movies that add, humor. With the Madison character, I like the fact that she's not established. Like, we don't know her. I did for once. I actually I broke down, Bobby, and I watched one of the episode breakdowns by who's the most popular one, the one YouTube channel. We'll go ahead and give them props. I'll source them right now.
New Rockstars.
New Rockstars. I did the New Rockstars one.
I figured.
And yeah, and they explained her who she actually is. She's a comedian / actress or whatever, and what her real name is and whatnot. I'd have to imagine that this appearance on She-Hulk is definitely probably going to elevate her status, and she's probably going to get a lot of work based off of this performance. I mean, this is Marvel we're talking about here. Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that she's got a drink in her hand 24/7. Like anywhere she goes, you know what I mean? Like always has a drink in her hand. It's just perfect. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I love that. I love that even though this is Disney, they're allowing a character like that to be in the episode that does have alcohol and alcoholic beverage in their hand. Like, you know, when we're talking about Disney here and like, you know, the House of Mouse, you know, honestly, you don't know what to expect sometimes. So to see somebody like her come on, they didn't let her be too sloppy drunk. Like they didn't let her get like, you know, too like, you know, like too drunk. But I love the fact that she doesn't understand the legal system. And she just like, you know, walked straight into court with an alcoholic beverage in her hand. Like, you know, of course she didn't know she was going to be in court, but
right.
You know, the whole deal with Wong, just like using the sling ring portals as like his own like personal Uber or whatever, like all the time, where like he just like drops people right into like scenarios and shit on jump. You know what I mean? Like, you know, no introduction, like, you know, no premise, no build up, like bam, here we go. There's somebody popping through a portal. It's great. I don't want to get too far into the episode because I don't want, you know, but yeah, I mean, the whole dynamic, the fact that they actually paired her and Wong together and didn't just like have her as a one-off, but actually made them like a pair. That was a great move. I have a feeling this will probably, I want to believe this will be the last time we see Wong mid-season. I do. I think this is probably it for him. I don't see him popping back up. He had his arc already in the series, you know. I think this is pretty much he played it out. And they got the most out of him. And I think if anything, probably, and I'm not trying to, you know, I'm sure we'll probably do some thoughts on episode 5 and whatnot, some mid-season type, you know, theories or whatever later on. But I feel like if anything, we might get a shift probably coming off this episode. You know, I think this is a good premise. Starting off with this intro scene and having this sort of comedic themed episode, I think it'll be a good shift going into Daredevil popping up. You know what I mean? And you know, Matt Murdock and whatnot and everything. I have a feeling if they're going to have Matt Murdock involved as an attorney, it's probably going to be actually like a serious issue that the law firm is dealing with in terms of the case or whatever and whatnot. You know?
Yeah, he might be like the straight guy in all this goofiness.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because Matt Murdock doesn't really do humor. Like, you know, like that's not really his deal. Charlie Cox he's not really funny. Great intro, great opening. The Donnie Blaze thing. Hey, what I took from it was if they're making fun of Donnie Blaze, if they're using that name and riffing off of Johnny Blaze like that, whatnot in the She-Hulk episode, what that tells me is when we do get Ghost Rider, we're going to get the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider from like the early 90s, mid 90s Ghost Rider. Like we're not going to get the Johnny Blaze one, the original Ghost Rider. Or why would they even spiff off of the Donnie Blaze deal, right? I mean,
yeah, like if they use Johnny Blaze now, it might be like too confusing. They might actually associate Johnny Blaze with Donnie Blaze.
Well, I could be wrong.
At this point, they're not even really associated yet.
If
they are ever going to be.
Just to add something different, I guess, in terms of my take on the scene, that's what popped up to me was like, okay, well, if they're going to play off of Johnny Blaze, at that point, that tells me we're going to probably get a Danny Ketch or some other version of Ghost Rider in the MCU. You know, I think Johnny Blaze is played out anyway. I think Nick Cage, you know, went ahead and did his deal with it and whatnot. But yeah, great opening scene. You know, as usual, the breaking the fourth wall deal. You know, I still think she's doing a great job with it. I'm loving it every time. And you know, besides that, the magic show deal, I don't know, like the guy that played the guy that went to Kamatage and whatnot and dropped out after 1 week or whatever, the Donnie Blaze guy. He's funny as shit too. I thought he was hilarious. You know? Like he's kind of half-assed and everything, and his magic show sucks. You know, like it's really depressing and whatnot and everything. You know, and he's got to like bust out the sling ring to like save it at the end. You know, so yeah, it was great. You know, good opening. Very compact episode.
Very much so. Very much so. Totally. So before we move on, let's give everyone a refresher of this awesome show by dropping the trailers. Sir Jeff, if you have those ready, we'd like to see them, sir.
Wow! Jesus, what the hell, man?
Still
in control, no overwhelming feelings of rage.
No, a normal amount of rage.
You do revert back to Gen form when you sleep.
Was the air horn really necessary?
For comedy, absolutely. This is a multi-year journey you're about to embark on.
Yes.
Yeah. Who's your best friend?
Nikki.
Spandex. Spandex is your best friend. Being a Hulk asks for balance. You have so much more to learn. Yes!
So I'm clearly nailing it at all of these things.
If you want to go back to your life as a lawyer, I respect that.
He doesn't mean that.
More and more eccentric superhumans are coming out of the woodwork. We're going to launch a division for them, and I want the She-Hulk to be the face of it.
Jennifer Waters. Namaste.
I have a serious conflict of interest. This man tried to kill my cousin, Bruce.
Yeah, that's quite all right.
Oh. People only care because I'm representing Emil Blonsky. I think they care because they're like, hey, that girl's great. Jen, do your thing. God, I really like this outfit. I'm not proud of this.
Miss Walters, we answer to a higher power. Our universe is on the edge of a precipice.
I am a lawyer. We do things by the book.
The Book of Ashanti.
No, the Book of American laws.
Whether you like it or not, you're now a superhero.
Let's do this. You know that friend you had in high school who was way cooler than you were, attractive, got all the attention from everyone? Hello.
I think I'm jealous. Is that what I'm feeling?
Come on.
Being a superhero is a trial by fire. Who's gonna protect the world if not people like you?
I'm Jennifer Walters. I'm a lawyer. I have great friends. Can we get some shots, please? It's an emergency. A demanding job.
We just started a superhuman law division, and I want you to be the face of it.
And a frustrating family.
Cause you didn't ask for this, but you still gotta deal with it. Your transformations are triggered by anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing. Oh. Bruce, kind of feels like if I don't transform, I'm gonna die.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no.
I just want to be a normal, anonymous lawyer.
Can you tell us where She-Hulk is?
Jen, you're a story now.
Girl, your ass looks crazy right now. You could be an Avenger.
Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason. Is there anything more depressing than dating in your 30s?
Yeah, this is the best date I've had in a while.
Oh.
Should we split some fries?
Let's get those to go.
All right, great trailers as usual. They're so much fun. Lots of great. That first trailer, especially with Bruce and She-Hulk together doing their thing, it's absolutely hilarious. Especially that horn sequence, so funny. But those are just really great trailers. They really give you a lot of good insight into what you're expecting, and I think that they're just really fun. So moving on. So
Oh, Cyber, if you don't mind, I just want to point out too, if you didn't notice, it really does kind of, in a way, they're directed, I think, towards mid-season almost. What they show us, we already basically have saw most of that what was in the trailers, I think, through episode 4, right? So that's what I meant when I kind of said that I think there will be kind of a reset.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. So after the credits roll, it says She-Hulk Attorney at Law. That's when it pops up to Jen back at her apartment, and she, of course, breaks the fourth wall and says, "Oh, I know you. I'm sure you love Wong. You guys all love Wong. It was great to see Wong," stuff like that. And that's when all of a sudden her dad shows up, and he's like, I brought you all the new stuff to keep you safe, after your little incursion that you had. And they have like a little brief conversation, like, did you call the cops? This and that. She's like, I'm a Hulk, Dad. I'm fine. Da 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 da. And basically, they leave it at that, and she leaves. Then she goes to her office. She's there at her office with her, of course, her associate, and they're having a conversation. And that's when Wong pops up into the and says, "I have a situation, Miss Walton." And, basically, tells her about Donnie Blaze and how he's this magician and how he keeps using the mystic arts for the wrong reasons, and that he shouldn't be doing it, and that he needs legal help to keep him from doing that. And he goes on and says, how I'm using air quotations, as he kept saying in the scene, saying, magic. And he's saying that he's not really using real magic. He's using, interdimensional magic and stuff like that, and that he shouldn't be doing that, and kind of explains that, yeah, he was a former student and he really didn't do well and all this kind of stuff. And then he's like, I need your help to do, take care of him. And she starts asking questions. Did you get this in writing? Did you get a signature? All this kind of stuff. And he keeps saying, no. And so, basically they need something concrete to be able to give him an NDA to have him cease and desist. And so that's when, after that great sequence, which I thought was just really fantastic, that's when all of a sudden she goes to the bar, and she's there with her friend again, and they talk and stuff like that. And she's like, I want to see your matcher profile, because she mentions, and she kind of does a woot thing when they're talking about finishing off Emil Blonsky's, paperwork and stuff like that. And this guy approaches and basically hits on them, and they kind of like say, "Oh no, we're good," and stuff. And he walks away. If you're interested later, I'll be over at the bar, he says. And so they have. Then she takes her, asks for Jen's phone. Jen gives her the phone to see her matcher profile, and she looks through it. And she's like, "Oh, why'd you use your corporate picture? That's not going to get you any dates." And so then she kind of like starts flipping through it and swiping right. And she's like, are you swiping right? She's like, yeah. I mean, only after about 500, that's when you finally start to weed out the good ones. You start getting something. And have you ever decided to, she's like, why shouldn't you do one as She-Hulk? And she's like, I thought you hated that name. She's like, yeah, but maybe that might help you, And she's like, nah, I want to do that. I'm just Jen. I want to get a date because I'm just Jen. And so they do that, and basically that's how the scene ends. And then it goes to Wong and her at the magician's office. And the magician and his, I don't know if he's like his stage manager or who he is, but he's somebody that works with the magician Donnie Blaze. And basically it's like, this is a order to cease and desist. And, that you're going to stop doing the mystic arts and stuff like that. And they have like this whole conversation. He's like, this is my art. This is my art form and stuff like that. And he's like, is this art? And like, is this, magic? And he's like, what isn't this real magic? And he does kind of some tricks and stuff like that. And Wong, of course, is in the background kind of just going, that's not real magic and stuff like that. And they have like this hilarious kind of like conversation. Like, I'll show you. He's like, the magician, Donnie Blaze, says something. And then Wong's like, I do more in my sleep. And then he's like, prove it. He's like, and he's about to do something, and like She-Hulk's like, no, don't do that, And they have a further conversation, and basically she says, you got to cease and desist. It's like, until the trial, you can't do this and blah blah blah. And he's like, no, I'm gonna still do my art and stuff like that. And so Then at the end, we have Wong like do like a trick where he pulls a ball out of his mouth, which was really funny, and they basically leave. So before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about that whole sequence there. The beginning scene with Jen and her father, the bar sequence, and then the lawyer office scene with Donnie Blaze. So what were you guys' thoughts on those sequences? Was there anything maybe that you noticed maybe somebody else did, that's something that interested you or that, you know, you thought was funny? Was there, what did you feel about those scenes? And do you feel it progressed the story very well? Starting with you, Andrew.
I enjoyed the whole bar when they're at the bar and they're kind of just like they keep going back to this like lawyer themed bar. It was Legal Ease, right? I think it's called Legal Ease, and like you get the idea that this is like a bar for like professionals, like for, you know, all paralegals and lawyers and all that type, and how they kind of like they're just trying to get through work, right? They're just existing, doing their thing, and this guy comes and hits on them, and it's just like the most like half-assed approach, just so like there's no like charisma, no style to it. It's just like the most half-assed approach, and they're kind of just like been there, done that kind of thing. So
Andrew, how does it work? How do you sit down and have drinks with two different women? Like, how does that even work? Like, how do you make that happen?
I don't know. I would think he would have just picked one and just like focused. Maybe he just figured I'll take double my chances. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but I just liked how he's just like, oh, well, if you change your mind, like I'll be over there, and it's like, okay, like all right, whatever. But her talking about like the profile picture of using like the corporate like snapshot. I remember I was reading an article like recently about like the different ways like women can like do like their facial, like their profile picture, and how like for women it works better if they smile with their teeth and if they like look off to the side. So like when her corporate headshot's just her corporate headshot, like that's kind of like intimidating and kind of like very like like that's a little off-putting. So I thought that was funny how like her friend commented on that. Because it's right, it's true. It's like it's just like very fake, you know. So I thought that was funny. And then when they kind of go to the magician's office, you're right, they talk with the stage manager and Donnie keeps doing the thing where he's doing like the flame thing. He takes out the little flame, like he hides it or whatever. Like I keep thinking like the fire. I'm like, okay, that's probably why it's the blaze thing, right? That's what's going on there. But I just think it's funny that he's even trying to go up against Wong, who's like the sorcerer supreme now, and like come on, man, like, you know, it's not going to go in your favor in the end. So, but yeah,
totally, I completely agree. Bobby, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I like that scene with where they're in the magician's office. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the show, because it really established that he is kind of like a phony, except for the one trick he does with the sling ring. I thought that was a cool dynamic because like it really kind of establishes him and his little hype man. And I actually hope to see him again because I thought he was funny. But yeah, I like the only thing that kind of bothered me is that it seems like the CGI on She-Hulk is a little weird when she's just in her office. Mm-hmm. It was better. Like it was really good when she was fighting the little demons towards the end. But when she's like kind of in her office and she's in her lawyer suit and just walking around or sitting at her desk, it's a little off to me. That was the only problem I really had with it. But I enjoyed the rest of it.
Yeah. She looks better. She looks better with the lights low, basically, is what you say.
Yeah. Yeah. Or when there's a lot of movement, you can't really focus on her.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that I get together with where they look better in the dark. You know?
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Yeah, when the sequence where she's talking with Wong and he's explaining why he needs her help, you could see just it looked very CGI. It didn't look very plush.
Like almost like she's like a Gumby figure. Like her limbs don't move naturally. Like they're too wobbly or something.
Exactly. Yeah, most definitely. And that's that sequence I was totally as I was watching, I was like, that just doesn't look right. You know, and I think that's what a lot of people, I remember when the first trailer dropped, and that's what a lot of people were complaining about the CGI work on her. And that is what that problem was in those first trailers until they kind of spiffed it up a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, I totally see that. Most definitely. Jeffrey, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I think when it comes to yeah, I know Cyber's one of the few people that calls me Jeffrey. To be honest with you, I don't mind being called Jeffrey. Doesn't really bother me, but either way, no, it's almost like in those scenes in the office, it's her. She doesn't look very authentic or organic or fluid. Like, you know what I mean? With the CGI doesn't move or flow, I guess, if you want to say, to where it's not to where you can't not notice it. That it does kind of stand out in a way. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's not. It doesn't flow as well as it does like in the action scenes or when she was like being trained with Bruce or whatever. You know, in the first episode or whatever. Otherwise, I think the CGI has been pretty solid. But am I the only one that thinks that like that Donnie Blaze was like is supposed to be like a spoof of like Chris Angel almost in a way?
No,
like,
yeah, for sure, yeah.
You know, was an interesting character himself. I love Chris Angel, but haven't seen him in a while. But no, I mean, I think Bobby and Andrew pretty much nailed the I guess the highlights or whatever of the scene. Regardless of the CGI, I like the scenes where she's She-Hulk as a lawyer and she's representing the firm, everything and whatnot, and she's dealing with these superhuman or whatever, or exotic clientele or whatever, Right. I like the fact that they managed to figure out a dynamic or a situation where they could have Wong involved and have Wong have a case and a legal issue to even have to go to her to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that this scene and overall this episode, sort of what I got out of it to some extent is I'm not at all like in any way trying to hold it down for Marvel Studios or whatever and try to like, fight the good fight for them or whatever in terms of the product they're putting out. I'm not going to sit there and fight the people that don't like in the comment section that don't like She-Hulk, you know what I mean, or whatever, or didn't like Miss Marvel or didn't like this or that. People can have their opinions and I respect that. That's fine. I didn't like Moon Knight that much. You know what I mean? I didn't. And I've been very open about that. Maybe I'll feel differently over time, like I have with other Disney Plus shows. Like, hey, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I didn't think was all that great, to be honest with you, when it came out. Maybe it was overhyped, but looking back at it now, I think it was awesome. But I think that that scene was a great scene. It was a funny scene. It was Wong's great. He's a great addition. He's always good. He's a great element to add to any scene almost. He's a great actor, I think, Benedict Wong. But I think that this is episodical television. Like, you know what I mean? And this is what this is. Like, it's an episodical TV show. And anybody who's ever watched TV shows, which we all have throughout the decades, right? I mean, I can remember watching friggin' Cheers with my parents when I was a kid, like, and whatnot. I love Cheers, man, and stuff like that,
Sometimes you want to go.
Married with Children, man. And like, the bottom line, though, even The Sopranos, like, had off shows, had shows that were kind of whims, not so great, although they were rare. I'll put that out there. I love The Sopranos, and I want to point out that adding The Sopranos to the show was awesome. I just want to point that out. That was great. I haven't seen a Sopranos a reference in a long time on anything really. So nice to see. When you hear that song, you can't help but attach it to Sopranos. But no, I just think that it was a good scene. It's a good episode overall, and people just like, again, it's this whole Endgame Infinity War effect where Marvel built this thing up so hot, so hyped at one point and got so big that now it's almost like anything they do is viewed through this lens of like that fever pitch of that like level of like cinematography and and acting and whatnot and like and action scenes and build up and I'm not sure if that's ever going to go away. Maybe that's always going to be how it is. It's not, maybe I have no idea, but I just think it's I'm not trying, I'm not saying it's unfair, but I think that it's almost like it's a tough spot for Marvel right now with these Disney Plus shows because it's almost like they have to be perfect with these episodes. Like, and you're not going to get that over 8 episodes. There's going to be 1 or 2 that are going to be solid, but not maybe the best. So yeah, the hype guy was funny. Donnie Blaze is funny as hell. Donnie Blaze.
just kept
go ahead.
repeating the same thing he would say over and over. Love that.
He's like an imbecile. You know what I mean? That was interesting. Nice echo. Oh, but anyways, I enjoyed that. No, he's like an imbecile. He's a joke. Like he's a clown, you know, but it's funny though. You know what I mean? It is. It's funny. He has no talent at all. He's like, you know what I'm saying? He's like me. He's talentless, but you know, but no, he was great. Madison was great. Madison was great. They were great elements. Throw Wong in there too. You know, just, you know, great. They were all good fits. And, you know, it was funny watching Wong, like, kind of go back and forth with them. You know what I mean? Because he is so beneath him. But Wong's the Sorcerer Supreme. You know, like, we're not even seeing what he can really do when we're seeing him get Hulk, you know? So, but, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like I said, you know, I don't really have that much else to, I'll save. I've got more to talk about for the later parts of the episode.
All right. Thank you. Awesome. Great. Yeah. And like this whole sequence was just really fun too, because there was so much going on, but I felt that they did a good job of giving us just enough of each of it. They didn't do too much and they didn't do too little, I thought. So it flowed very well too, I thought. So I think that's a great thing about this series. Even though it's so short, only 30 minutes long, they still did a good job with that, I thought. All right, so moving on. So next, so after the tourney scene, that's when Jen goes on her first date with her first profile. She goes on a date with this guy that she meets on the Matchmaker, and they're sitting at this cafe or wherever you want to call it, and they're having a conversation, and he's explaining how he's like this entrepreneur when he really has no job and doesn't really do anything, and how he's a New Yorker even though he was only there for a year and 2 months. And you know, all this stuff, and he's like, and you can just see her, and she's kind of like, you know what, this is not good. And he just kind of keeps going on by himself, and then he kind of asks a question about her, and she says that she's a lawyer, and you know, that's what he explains what he is, and all that kind of stuff. And then it comes to being the end of the date, and the check comes, and he kind of reaches down. He's like, so this is where I depart, kind of thing. And they kind of stare at each other for a second, and then she grabs the thing to pay for it. He's like, oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you. And then it kind of, you know, she basically kind of breaks the fourth wall a little bit and says something, and then that's the end of that scene. And then that's when we go to the court scene, and that's when we're at the court, and Donnie Blaze is there, and that other stage guy is there. Their lawyer, She-Hulk's there with Wong, and they're basically this court sequence takes up a good amount of time, which is really fun. And basically, they end up calling in a witness. They call in Madison, and she drops in through a portal as usual, like she has in pretty much all the episode. This episode has gone on, and she's got her drink in her hand, like she always does. And as she walks over, and she's like, Wonger. She keeps calling
Wongers,
which is absolutely hilarious, which is so funny. And basically, you know, Jen's like, okay, you're gonna go up here. We're gonna ask you some questions, and you know, she's asking her, you know, this and that and stuff about, you know, being transported by Donnie Blaze and stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, so, you know, I was in this one place with these demons. I think they're a demon. And then I was at Wonger's place, and we watched The Sopranos and all this stuff. And, you know, she's explaining that stuff, and it's kind of pointless to the case, but at the same time, there is some merit to it for the case. And, you know, the other side's like, objection, you know, what is this relevance? You know, this is an art form. This is the man's living and stuff like that. And even the lawyer on the magician side, like, starts doing magician stuff. And they're like, that's not real magic. He's like, is this real magic, Judge? He's like, he changes his outfit from the white to the black, and they like do magic tricks throughout the whole sequence and stuff like that. And even the lawyers doing magic tricks, pulling out like the crossing for the suit and stuff, which was absolutely hilarious. And as they're doing these magic things, and they're like, and basically the judge is kind of like yeah, okay, he can keep doing it. You have no anything to keep him from doing it, even though he's opening portals to other dimensions and stuff like that. And we'll go on with this case later on, basically, and that's pretty much the end of that court sequence. So let's talk about a little bit about that court sequence and that date sequence before we move on. So the date sequence, what were you guys' thoughts on it? What did you find funny about it? Was there anything you didn't like about it? Do you think it was good portion of the episode? And also, what was your thoughts on the whole court sequence and all the stuff that you thought was really fun? I'll start with you, Andrew.
So just talking about the date part. I thought that was hilarious because like it reminds me of when I was younger, like my early 20s, like when I was like doing like it was too early back then for like Tinder or like the more like accessible one. It was used to be like Match or like something online. But I just remember like just when I would go on first dates and like you get the sense that maybe like you're explaining too much about yourself. You're not giving the other person, the other girl, a chance to like talk about herself. And so it was like, just very like, it was like too real for me in a certain sense. Where like, oh yeah, like I don't know how that awkward that is now. And like I've been with my girlfriend for like almost like 7 years at this point, so I don't have to deal with that so much right now. But it reminds me so much of like my cousins who are women who have like horror stories about dates, and like it sounds just like the thing where he's looking at matches while he's on the date, he's on his phone doing that. And then the whole like kind of like nomadic traveling like couch surfer, like from place to place, like, oh yeah, I'm an entrepreneur. Like give yourselves like all these titles, and it's like, oh, like what do you work with? He's like, oh, I'm still figuring it out. And it's like, okay, so you don't like, you're not really an entrepreneur. And like just like all of those, it's like the worst cliches of what like us as men trying to date, like what we would come up with. So I just thought it was so funny that guy was like all of that put together. And I've definitely been in that position where you kind of do the thing where like you want to pay, but you're hoping maybe the other person will like pay, and so you're kind of just doing the like reaching for it slowly, hope like are you gonna stop me? No, okay, I guess I'm paying then, right? So like the way like it slows down and focuses on Jen and the guy like each trying to go for the wallet, but like giving the other time to interject, like it's so good. It's so good. That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, and thoughts on the courtroom sequence?
Oh, I thought this was really cool because like I agree with Jeff. I think with most Marvel shows, I kind of scratch my head and think like, how is this advancing us like through the overall MCU? This is the only Marvel show I've seen where I don't care about that. I really would love this to just be like case of the week episodes every week, because I really don't care. This is the only show where I feel that way, because I want to see, this is such an interesting premise where we have like courts and like superhero stuff kind of intersect, right? So it makes it very like captivating. And I like it's interesting how they talk about like the idea of how like you can't copyright magic, right? Because it's something that's ethereal and natural, and it's part of like the universe. Like no one owns magic, right? Even though Wong is a sorcerer supreme, there's no like, C copyright with a circle around it on that title or whatever, right? Like you don't own it. So I thought that was really interesting how like, as opposed to like Stark Tech, right? With like Iron Man, he has his suit, like that's his actual property, right? Remember for like Iron Man 2 where he's like he doesn't want to hand it over, right? That's different than magic, which is not owned universally by someone. So I thought this was really interesting. I like that thought. And then I just lost it when he kept doing like the magic, and like the judge is like, he stopped doing that. And then like and then she's like, Jen's like, I can't believe it. Like even his lawyer's a magician. He's like pulling out the scarves and doing like all the tricks, and it's just like I know a lot of people give the MCU like flack for not taking things seriously, but like if you're gonna do that stuff, like this is the show to do that for.
Yeah.
So I love that whole just the problems they introduce with magic, and like it's like there's no precedent, right? There's no like court, like nothing that says like, like Jen said, it's not what it's what you can prove, right? So there's no like NDA or release documents or anything. So it's just really, really fun to watch.
100% agree. Billy, 100%. That was fantastic. Thank you. Bobby, your thoughts, sir, on both sequences?
Well, I like the sequences. In the dating one, I thought it was interesting. I mean, maybe I'm looking a little too much into it. I don't know if that one creepy guy that called her a specimen, I don't know if he's got anything to do with the Wrecking Crew, because they were trying to get her blood and everything. I mean, maybe I'm looking, like I said, maybe I'm looking too much into it, but I thought that was kind of interesting. And I do have an answer for Jen. There is something worse than dating in your 30s, is dating in your 40s. That's worse. That's what I'm going through right now. And then the courtroom seat, that was probably my favorite scene. It reminded me a lot of Harvey Birdman, where it's just all this ridiculous stuff with all these different characters and little jokes here and little jokes there. And it's just so ridiculous, but it's so funny. When she's like, yeah, we went to this other dimension and I met Jake, and his hype man is like, I know Jake. Like, I thought that was hilarious. And the whole courtroom sequence was probably my favorite one. I was laughing my ass off during the whole thing. And when the judge was like, stop doing that. How did you get those smoke bombs in here? And then he pulls out the rabbit and she's like, oh, it was just such a great scene. It was definitely my favorite one.
A whole 100%. Yeah, that was a great courtroom sequence.
Yeah,
totally made you think of like, different courtroom sequences and TV shows and stuff like that. And overall, just really funny. I mean, yeah, the whole smoke bomb thing, and then the rabbit and the change of the clothes and the magician stuff was just absolutely hilarious. And they're on the other side, just kind of like, what? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny, so hilarious. Sir Jeopardy or Sir True Knowledge, your thoughts, sir?
Well, I mean, again, I think that I think Bobby and Andrew pointed out really kind of like that you did pointed out, really I guess what you'd call the highlights or like the pivotal, standout kind of, aspects of the scene and of both the scenes. But I think that I don't know how I feel about the whole like dynamic where. And this is bouncing off of Kevin the other night, when we were talking on another episode review. I don't know how I feel about like all the guys in the whole with the whole first dates all being like schmucks. You know what I mean? Like, look, I've been on first dates where I met asshole chicks myself that I thought were schmucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so just to be clear, like that does happen to men too. Like, it isn't all just the guys that are assholes at first dates. Just to put it out there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'm like the best first dater out there or whatever, but like, I'm certainly not like those guys, of course, like when I have first dates with women, like, it's already been established that like, I'm hitting that shit anyways afterwards. So like, that definitely changes the tone of the date. You know what I mean? When like, it's obvious, like, when you know exactly what's going to happen afterwards, it definitely changes up the vibe. You know what I mean? But hey, with your True Knowledge, that's how you handle your business, baby. But I ain't paying for dinner, hon, for the dinner in the movie unless I'm getting a guarantee on the what's going on afterwards, if you know what I'm saying. But either way, I think it's funny that the judge just like allowed all that shit. Like, there's not a courtroom out there like any judge would allow anything to go. Like, you're not allowed to walk into as a witness or whatever with a drink in your hand and shit, like to the pulpit and everything and whatnot. Like. She like hands it to the guy. You can finish that. Go ahead. Like, come on now. You know what I mean? But I guess if it's supernatural law or whatever, or like superhero law, what are the rules? Like,
right.
what are the regulations? Like, I mean, I think it would have been neat if they would have explained some of that a little bit, like maybe just a little bit, like at some point, like, how they were going to handle these cases, like what was going to be different with the legal system itself. In terms of dealing with this whole different phenomena of like metahumans, as they call them in the DCEU universe, I'm learning as I'm doing my research for future MCU's Bleeding Edge shows, focused more on DCU. I'm trying to catch up. I actually watched a DC animated today. It was a throwback one, like a Justice League from like back in the day where they're in World War II. And like Flash goes back in time, and like Flash goes to a different Earth, and on the different Earth they have World War II with the Nazis, and they have the Justice League of America. That's what the team is with like back in like the 1920s or 1940s or whatever. Really interesting. But either way, once again, Madison was the standout of the court scene. She was great. Her statements as a witness, like to like what she'd experienced or whatever, were hilarious. And again, would never hold up in like any court of law or whatever, like, I mean, you have to be articulating and saying things that are based off of like reality. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, I mean, talking about demons and shit and goats and whatever else you're talking about. You know, like, I mean, any witness like that would be discredited immediately. Like that wouldn't even be, they would like strike the whole thing. Like right when she would get that, she didn't even swear her in either. Like, well, I thought that was interesting. Like, you know what I mean? That they had no swear in, you know, like maybe, I don't know why they didn't do that, but
yeah, she was just like, I'm like totally serious. And then there's something like that.
I'm going
to tell the truth. I'm totally serious. And that was about it.
Yeah. There was no swear in, which I don't care, but I just thought it was kind of weird because I thought they always did that. Like, you know, when you went into court or whatever, you know, I've never been a witness of anything, so I don't know. I don't have much legal experience, but no, I think that the whole trial sequence was interesting. The I don't know, like the whole, like Andrew was talking about with the first date stuff. I've never fought with a check with a woman before. I pay the check. Like, it's that simple. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I make it clear before. Yeah, I tell them before the date, like, just so you know, I'm paying for everything tonight. You know what I mean? Like, that's how things are going to work. Like, I got everything. You know, like I establish it right from jump. I don't want to juggle or like fight for the check or whatever.
Yeah, like if I'm talking to a girl, I'll usually be the first one that initiates the date part. So since I'm the one asking first, I usually just automatically assume I'm going to pay.
Right.
That's just the way I was always doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, nobody ever taught me to pay for everything with women and whatnot. I just somehow figured out or whatever that's to me how things are supposed to work. And like, I'm not trying to make a stand here or like, I'm not saying the guy should copy me, but like, I don't feel comfortable not paying for everything with when I go out with women. Like, I always pay for everything. That's just how it is. I don't care what it is. If they want a soda at the gas station, I'm paying for it. So it's,
right. Well, from my experience, it wasn't known there was like strictly a date. In my case, sometimes it was just like like me being with a female friend who I already know. In which case, you're kind of like the dating rules are kind of different, you know, because it's not a date. And there's been times where like it doesn't become a date till like later on, where it's like very, you know, just casual and not like planned. So like those are some of like the scenarios I've been into. Of course, if like if you're going as a guy, if you're going first, and of course you know the chivalry and all that, of course you can pay. But there's been situations where like it's not like we're not clear on the terms of what this is. You know what I mean? Sometimes, so that's why I said that. Just a couple of things that I just wanted to pair it off of Jeff real quick was when he talks about how like the court, like he doesn't know what's different about this being superhuman law. I never thought I didn't assume that there's like different rules that apply to like these extra human characters. I assumed they just wanted her, because she is someone who is superhuman, to represent these clients who are dealing with these superhuman crimes or events. I don't think I ever expected them to be like, you know, because this is superhumans involved, we're going to change this statute, or we're going to change the way this law is proceeded. I always just took, that's why they tell her like they want her in She-Hulk form, because she's visibly the face of the superhero community in this case. So that's how I always took it. Like, she's just the representative of who they're dealing with, right? Like, you would want, you know, if you're on trial for like something involving like gender or sex, you would want somebody present who represents the same thing you're going through, right? So that's how I always kind of thought of it. And then the Madison stuff, I forgot to mention this, but I like how she calls Wong Wongers, because that kind of implies that off screen they had enough time to kind of establish a rapport. So like she probably off screen like binge watched a huge amount of like Sopranos episodes with Wong, and then we kind of see that late. Well, I'm not gonna go into the spoilers, but like we do see like there is something there of some kind of like friendship going on there. So I do like that. And then the last thing I wanted to say was when she's on the court and like they're kind of like asking her like oh yeah, like this is something spooky happened and then became a fun thing and then became spooky again. And so then the defense is like, you see, like what we provided was more of a exciting experience. Like it wasn't like that dangerous of a thing. It was more just like part of like the show, like part of like the entertainment aspects. I like how they kind of pivoted to where like she kind of like messes it up for Jen by saying it's spooky, then it became fun, and then became spooky again. So like I thought that was kind of funny.
Sheezy is that kind of woman I would want to get on the bleeding edge as a guest. That's we need women like Madison on the panel. So go ahead, Bobby.
Oh no, I was going to say
Oh, okay, yeah. No, with the drink, yes, definitely.
Yeah,
we encourage alcohol abuse here on the Bleeding Edge. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, and a shout out to Vanessa in the comments. Hi, all she said. Just wanted to say hi back to Vanessa. Thank you for being in the comments section. And yeah, most definitely that whole sequence was just so much fun, so hilarious, and all of us have been on that first date type of situation and stuff like that, and totally that's how I feel it works out most of the time, just like that. So after the courtroom scene, then we go back to Jen goes back to her apartment, and she looks at her matcher profile and realizes that maybe this is not working out, so she decides to change it and make it a She-Hulk profile. So she changes into She-Hulk and redoes the picture and everything and stuff like that. And she breaks the fourth wall as usual and says, "I'm not proud of this, but it's gonna help me probably." And so as she changes it, she starts swiping through, and she swipes through a few times. And then next thing you know, she has like 1 million people liking her now that it's the She-Hulk. And basically, then that's when it goes to this montage of different dates she goes on. And this whole sequence is just really funny because we have this one guy, he's like a bodybuilder. He's like, I can lift 600 pounds and I'm not even a superhero. And he's like, are we gonna get somebody to get our order for us? And then we go to like a more of a kind of like obsessed freak guy that's like, so this and that, and do you have this, and do you do this in the She-Hulk form, and this and that, and stuff like that. And they kind of have a conversation where they're like, he's asking kind of these weird questions. And that guy actually that plays that character, he's super hilarious. I absolutely love the guy. He was in the Baywatch movie with The Rock and Zac Efron. He was in Miracle Workers, that TV series on TBS with Steve Buscemi and stuff like that. He was in that series as well. And he's just super funny. And so that whole sequence is just really funny. And he was like, he played like a really good kind of like creepy. And then finally we get to the last guy, and he's like this, buff and nice guy and he's actually asking her questions instead of just talking all about himself. And he's a doctor, and she's like getting all kind of ooh and ah and stuff like that as they're talking and stuff. And at one point, he's like asked like, oh, should we get some French fries? And he's like, we should get those to go. And that's when they leave, and that's when we go back to seeing Donnie Blaze again. And Donnie Blaze is once again doing his show, and he's doing his theatrics and stuff like that. And he has a new person up on the stage, another girl, and he does his portal thing again and opens it, and she looks at it and he goes, I'm not going in there. Like I my friend was just here last week, and she went through one, and she went in a crazy place, and I'm not doing that. And he's just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do something else. And so he does like another thing and opens a new portal, and then as he opens it, something comes out and it lays an egg on her hand, and then the egg pops up, and there's this little creature in there, and it's like, oh, it's so cute. And then all of a sudden it becomes terrorizing, and it's some sort of like demon creature. And basically he accidentally has opened up a portal, and so he notices what it is, and he takes it and throws it back into a portal, opens another portal, and then all of a sudden after he throws that one back in, all of a sudden more come out of the portal and then start attacking all the guests at the magic show. That's when basically he ends up getting in contact with Wong and needing Wong's help. And he's like, oh, what'd you do now? And he's like, I need your help, Wong. And they're basically, he's sitting there watching something. I don't know if I think he was watching Sopranos again. And
what was that? What is that show? We Are Us or something like
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. The ABC show with Mandy Moore. That's
yes,
right.
yeah.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
yes. This Is Us.
This Is Us.
This Is Us. And he was watching This Is Us, and he comes in, like, what you do now? And he's like, he says, I opened a portal. And he's like, this is why you shouldn't be doing this. And so that he goes into the hole with Donnie Blaze to help him, and he sees the demon. He starts slapping the demons. He's like, what should I? The Donnie Blaze is like, what should I do? It's like, call my lawyer. And so then that's what it pops back to Jen again, and she's back at her apartment now with this guy, and they're having a conversation. She's still in Hulk form and stuff like that, and he like they're about to kiss, and then he spills something on his shirt, and he's like, oh no, he's like, I need something to clean this with, and he takes off the shirt and he goes to get something to clean it, and she grabs it and she kind of looks at the camera and looks like this, and then throws it like, he doesn't need it, and he comes back, he's like, I got club soda and something, I forget what he said, club soda and something, and then he's like, where'd my shirt go? And she's like, I don't know. He's like, I know what we should be doing. And she's about to lean in for a kiss again, and her phone rings, and she's looking at him. She's like, and he's like, shouldn't you get? He's like, do you need to get that? She's like, nah, we're good. And then she's about to lean in again for another like kiss, and all of a sudden, Wong pops in. He's like, why don't you answer your phone, Miss Walters? And I need your help, And he's like, I'm glad I interrupted this. And she's like, I need your help. It's like, okay. And so she goes, oh, what are we dealing with? And she goes in, and that's when we have this really great, fantastic sequence where she's over there and where Donnie Blaze was doing the Metro Show, and she's fighting these demons, and they're like actual demons. And then she's going on about, I'm here having to fight these demons. I should be back kissing that really hot guy. And like, I know he's just hot, but that I don't care. And she's like saying that stuff as she's like fighting the demons, and Wong is fighting the demons too. And they're all like batting them and stuff like that. And it's like pushing them back into the portal and stuff like that. And then finally, eventually, they get all of them back in the portal. And after that, that's when she pops down on top of the guy. He's reading some sort of like women's book or something like that. That's like about like I think
it was called The Bad Feminist.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And she falls right down on top of him, and then she's like, she picks him up, and then they walk, and it goes away. So before we move on from that, let's talk about that whole sequence. What just happened? Okay, so the sequence. Basically, we're going to talk about the sequence where the magician opens the portals and the show is going on. Then the sequence where she's having the dates. She's continuing her date at her apartment, having to deal with the demons and Wong, and then coming back and walking away with her date. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that whole sequence? What did you like about it? What did you hate about it? Was there anything you noticed maybe somebody else didn't notice? Was there anything that you particularly thought was really great about that part, or anything that you didn't care for that part? Pretty much just your thoughts. I'm going to start with you this time, Bobby.
I actually like those sequences. I thought the action was pretty good when they were trying to get the demons out. I thought, why didn't Wong make the like sort of that air-sucking spiral to begin with? Probably would have been a lot easier. He didn't really do it till the end. But I do like that they're kind of making She-Hulk like a horn dog, just like she was in the comics. Just like she was in the comics. I mean, she's dated everyone from Thor to Bruce Banner to Wyatt Wingfoot. Like she's dated a lot of guys. So I like that they're not shying away from that personality of hers, because that was a big thing especially in the John Byrne run of the comics. Yeah. In Old Man Logan, Hulk has a bunch of inbred children, and it's because him and She-Hulk hooked up and started a family of like these crazy Hulk people. But yeah, I like that they're not shying away from that. Like I think that adds a lot to her personality, because that's the way she was exactly in the comics. And like I said, I like the action sequences. I still like the Donnie Blaze. He was funny throughout the whole thing, and his dynamic with Wong, where he's like kind of sort of acquiescing to him that, hey, okay, maybe I am a fake magician. I like that kind of dynamic too. I don't know. There wasn't really anything else I didn't really like about those parts. So.
All right. Thank you. Andrew, your thoughts, sir?
I saw a lot of parallels here with it reminded me very much of like Gremlins, where it's like you have this sage magician who's like warning you about what not to do, and then you do it anyways, and now you just have like there's one at first, and then more of them show up, and it's just like they're just wreaking havoc, right? Like I wasn't sure what I don't think they had an end goal. I think they're just causing havoc because they just wandered through and stuff. But like how Bobby mentioned how he has to kind of he doesn't want to, but he has to reluctantly ask Wong for help. And then Wong's like, okay, but first you're gonna, or no, I think Jen's the one, right? Who's like, okay, you're gonna sign the cease and desist. When I do this, like, okay,
that's
fine.
End of the sequence.
Is it the, okay, so that's the end of the sequence.
End of the sequence, yeah.
And he's like, okay, fine, whatever. Sure. Like I'm done basically at this point. So, There wasn't. Yeah, I think I was. Yeah, this was a sequence. This was the same section of the episode, right? With like her date, right? With the guy that she actually liked, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I liked because Jeff was saying like how like not all like this isn't a good example of how all first dates are. I'm like, well, here you go. She finally had like the good one, right? The ideal one. And then when she says like Bobby mentioned, where she's like she has a fourth wall moment, right? Where she's like, oh, like it doesn't oh, he's hot, but that doesn't matter. And then she's like, okay, it kind of matters. It kind of makes a difference, right? So like, I thought it's funny how she's just very kind of like self-conscious, and like when she has this shirt and she looks at the camera and then she's like self-aware again, and she's like because if she wasn't like self-aware, if it wasn't a fourth wall breaking, she probably would have just like sniffed the shirt or like kept or done something, So I just like how she's like oh, like I'm being watched, and like oh, like never mind, forget it. So I like those moments. This show is really good. I'm really loving it. So yeah.
Awesome. Mr. True Knowledge, your thoughts, sir?
Well, parroting off of Andrew, I think the show's great too. I didn't find anything bad about the episode. I haven't had a problem with anything that's happened in any of the episodes, to be honest with you. Other than the first episode where She-Hulk knocked Titania out with one shot or whatever and whatnot. That was stupid, kind of stupid. Didn't make any sense really to me. Titania should be a better opponent, like more powerful and like able to fight than that. Like that didn't make any sense to me. Other than that, I just didn't find that to be like logical, really, But as we see, and we'll talk about in a minute, Titania's coming back, so like she's gonna emerge in the series. But yeah, the Gremlins thing, like Andrew said, yeah, I definitely felt that vibe. Definitely like a heavy Gremlins thing, a heavy 80s thing. Haven't watched the Gremlins movies in forever. I don't think I ever will watch them again, to be honest with you. I have no desire to ever go back and watch them again, to be honest with you. But no, like Bobby was saying, and honestly, Bobby, I only barely grazed old man Logan. You know what I mean?
Oh,
so,
okay.
I didn't. I just barely touched it. I never got heavy all the way through it. But I want to. Either way, yeah. I mean, what I was wondering to myself was like, so she banged the guy as She-Hulk, like. You know what I mean? Like, how's that dynamic gonna work? Like, is she gonna have sex with certain guys as Jennifer Walters, and then like other guys she's gonna like have sex with them as She-Hulk? Like, whatever. It's interesting to me, that dynamic. But, I can see I guess I can see how as She-Hulk, there's gonna be guys that would find her appealing. I guess she's like 7 foot, right, or whatever, and all that shit. She's big. Yeah, you got the guys out there that dig chicks like that, and I'm not one of them, but it is what it is. I'm pretty sure that she ran the show in the bedroom. I'd have to believe, but as far as the I guess if you want to call it the action scene or the climax of the episode, it was funny that that Donnie Blaze came to Wong for help. You know what I mean? And then Wong was like, I feel like I'm your father or whatever when he had to get Jennifer, to help out or whatever. And then she was like, what do I do? And he was like, be a Hulk. You know what I mean? Which I like that too. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of just, it brought back and it bounced off almost of the first episode with Bruce, with the training and everything, and the fact that she's a Hulk, you know what I mean? And it brought back and kind of I guess was another sign of the fact that she's new to this. You know what I mean? She's new to the superhero game and doesn't even want to be a superhero. So it'll be interesting over time. And this is one of the things I love about the Disney Plus series. I do. How she'll fit in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a character over time, where she'll show up again. Look, I almost feel like by the end of them, every Disney Plus show that comes out should get a second season almost. They're never going to really, but with this one, I feel the same way. I'm like, it makes no sense to me why you wouldn't do a second season of She-Hulk. I don't see why you wouldn't. How that would be a bad thing. At all. I think if anything, she'd be the perfect character to do another season.
Absolutely.
With the law and everything and whatnot, everything. There's tons of other, meta humans and B superhumans out there and whatnot and everything that are probably going to need lawyers and all that. But yeah. I mean, so to me, it just seems like it would make sense to continue on with the show. But no, it was I don't know. The demons didn't do much for me. They really didn't. Like they were very stereotypical almost in a way. Like they didn't really stand out to me. They didn't seem to pose much danger really to me other than the fact, other than their numbers.
It's like a nuisance.
Yeah. They didn't really. I mean, watching She-Hulk fight them and like throw them through the ring, the sling ring or whatever and whatnot. It was cool, but it wasn't exactly the most climatic, action sequence out there. So there you go. There's, but I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying that's one thing I will point out where I feel like, I don't know, maybe they could have done it a little bit differently or, but it fit the episode. It made sense. It rounded things out. And the whole, I mean, the only thing that would have made it, maybe if they would have brought Madison in on that would have improved it. Like if they would have had her involved with her drink and everything and whatnot, like she would have been perfect for that scene. But besides that, I didn't really have much else to give to talk about it. I mean, but we saw it in the trailer already. But I love watching She-Hulk pick up that dude, like a little baby in the bedroom. Like I love that shit, man. I love it. I think it's funny as hell. I could not imagine being picked up by a woman like that, like into the bedroom. Like I would not know what to think of that myself personally.
And then like at the end, like when he just sees her as normal and he's like, oh, like, who are you?
Yeah. See, I think she looks great. I mean, they're trying to make her look like somewhat less attractive almost than Tatiana Maslany really is when she's in her Jennifer form. But I still think she looks cute. Like, I mean, if I saw her on Matcher or whatever and whatnot, like I would talk to her.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right, so after we talked how she picked up her date and took him to the bedroom. Basically the scene cuts and it's to the next morning. She's making breakfast. She's back in her Jen form. He ends up walking out and notices her. He's like, "Oh, who are you?" And she's like, "Oh, it's me. This is my regular form when I'm not in She-Hulk form." He's like, "Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that." And she's like, "I made breakfast and all this." He's like, "I gotta go." And he's like, "Oh, don't worry about the shirt." And he leaves. And that's when she gets a text from her friend Nikki saying, "I want to know the deets about last night." And basically, says, and then, you're going to want to see something about Titania. And then that's when she turns on the TV and she sees on the news Titania's on there and that people are picketing for her to get released out of jail and all this stuff. And she's like, and like that. And then all of a sudden she gets a knock on the door and she opens the door and it's this guy and he's got something for her. And she's like, I know what a court document looks like and stuff like that. And,
Server,
subpoena and stuff like that. And he's like, Titania's it's from Titania. It's like, oh, what is she trying to sue me over the fight in the courtroom? I don't think so. And he's like, no, it's about your name. And she's like, my name? Yeah, you using the She-Hulk. And she's like, I didn't take that name. People gave it to me. It's like, and then basically goes in to say that she basically trademarked it. And she's like, I know what this is all about. Okay. And then closes the door on the guy's face. And she goes and breaks the fourth wall. And she's like, well, that's a way to end an episode. And that's where the credits pop up. And so then we, of course, have the credits. And then we get our extra scene, which I know a lot of you were kind of hinting at prior to getting there. But yeah, we have the final little scene, the little cut out scene or the whatever you want to call it. And it's Wong and Madison with two N's and a Y where you don't think it is. And they're watching Sopranos and they're having a discussion showing how chummy they are. And she's calling him Wongers and stuff like that. And they're having this good old time. Then basically it cuts and that's the end of the episode. So to close out this episode, to talk about this final section of the episode, what were your thoughts on that end sequence? You kind of mentioned a little bit, Andrew, about the guy seeing her in her normal form, and then also, what did you guys think of the cutaway scene at the very end with showing more of Madison and Wong? Starting with you, Andrew.
Right. So like at the end, they're just basically just exchanging like, oh, have you tried this drink? Like, oh yeah, or no, I haven't. And like they're just listing off just drinks. And they're just like this is the kind of thing you would do with like someone who you're bonding with or who you just like became friends with. And it's just like I like how there's like they're just so like platonic. They're like really they're just like good friends kind of in a way. Like I would think usually there'd be like some kind of like I don't know, like romantic tension, but you don't really get that with them. They're kind of just like they're just bumming around, eating popcorn and just watching TV. And I just love this dynamic. It's just I hope we see more of her. I hope we see more of Madison because she's just great. But like they're just like, oh, have you tried like a Moscow Mule? And he's like no, I've had this, and like they're just talking about drinks, and it's just like this is the kind of thing you would expect from like a mid-credit scene where it's like if you hang out and you watch it, like great. If you don't, you're not really missing anything of substance. But at the same time, like it's just fun to have, and that's what this show mostly is for me. It's just like fun popcorn kind of view, and it's not really like it's not like pushing the overall MCU like other stuff we would hope would at this point. It's just good fun. So I love the dynamic, and hopefully we see more of that.
Awesome, thank you, Bobby. Your thoughts, sir?
I like the last part because now they're with Titania serving her the papers, because from what I'm hearing, she's supposed to be like the quote unquote main villain of this season. So it's good to see that they're finally like getting that storyline like more into gear, I guess. But that part where she was like her normal self and the dude kind of rejected her, that like I kind of felt bad for her at that point because like I can relate to that when you like finally show your like true like personality or something and you kind of get rejected for that. It fucking sucks. But yeah, I like that. I love the dynamic with Madison and Wong, because he's like this straight up mystical, like he's the sorcerer supreme, and she's just like a drunk party girl. Yet they got things that they can like just relate to. And that like is like the basis of their friendship, where they're just like, hey, I can relate to this. Like we watch Sopranos, we drink a lot, we eat popcorn. Basically, I just love their dynamic, and I too hope that we see more of them together again.
Awesome, thank you. Any thoughts, Sir Jeffrey?
Well, that's the thing. That's the whole dynamic with these Disney Plus series, that they occur in real time, unlike the films. They're fluid, and so Marvel Studios is able to actually react off of the hype or like the feedback, I guess, right? Based off of like breakout type characters or whatever, or actors that pop up in series or whatever. Whereas as we all know, when the Marvel Cinematic Universe began, it started with the formula with Kevin Feige, where everything was planned 4, 5, 6 years ahead. You know what I mean? Like, and as far as we know, that's still the plan. But at the same time, you have to imagine that with these Disney Plus series, it's now created a situation where Kevin Feige and his team are able to get together and have meetings and say, you know what? This Madison, whatever the actress's name is, was freaking, look at the buzz there is on YouTube and whatnot and everything, and like, in the media and whatnot and everything, for this character in this episode. Maybe we should do something with this. Maybe we should bring her back. On She-Hulk season 2, or maybe we should kind
of like the Shield agent from Ant-Man, how they brought him back for WandaVision, and he was an even better character there.
Yeah, Wang. Yeah. Wang. I think that I have the Monica Rambeau Award for every Disney Plus series, right? That I give to like the top secondary character that kind of stands out in the series or whatever, and breaks out or whatever, or almost like overshadows like the main characters in a way. And I felt like obviously it's based off of the Monica Rambeau Award, because Monica Rambeau broke out in WandaVision. Like she was when she was on screen, I mean, she almost basically stole the show at times. She almost became the feature of the series at times. And at that point, I've got to believe that reflected to Kevin Feige and to the people at Marvel that they were going to have to do some different things with Monica Rambeau. And and I forget the actress that plays her. I apologize, but I feel like at that point, there's lots of different aspects of the Disney Plus series that are positive and are different and whatnot than the movies. But I feel like that's one of the big differences is that it changes that whole set system and dynamic where everything is laid out and planned, right? Like to a finite level. You know what I mean? To where they can like make changes over time and kind of off the cuff add characters into films if they feel like it's necessary or if they want to work off of the popularity of a character or an actress or actor. The end credit scene, if you want to call it that, was great. It was a great end credit scene, very funny. Like just like Bob said, just like Andrew said, great rapport, great with the two different actors and actresses, the actor and the actress together. And of course, their whole relationship is revolved around TV, a TV series, which is what they're on, a TV series. So, hey, isn't it right? But he tells her that I once drank vodka with yak blood or something like that, or yak milk or something. And she's like, "Oh, you got some of that here? I want some of that." That's how cool She Madison is. You know what I mean? She wants to drink yak milk or whatever, whatnot, with vodka. I would not want to drink that personally. Even though I do.
Really? You want to try it?
Yeah, I enjoy alcoholic beverage for a time or two. I'm not quite at Madison level and like walking around all day with a cocktail in my hand or whatever. But I do enjoy a beverage.
You wouldn't try milk straight from an animal?
Well, no. I would drink yak milk. I'm saying yak milk and vodka? Fuck no. Are you kidding me, dude? Hell no.
I've had my family in Mexico owns farm animals, and I've had milk straight from the cow's udder poured straight into a cup, added with tequila to kill the bacteria. Because you need the alcohol to kill the bacteria. It tastes really good, actually. It tastes pretty good.
I've tried dairy and alcohol together before, liquor together before. It does not work for me. It's not my thing. I do not like it. No.
So no rum chata then. No rum chata.
No. Moonslides are okay. You know what I mean? Like they're all right. They're okay, but just
Jeff, just let me interject real quick because like you're talking about how Marvel is going to see the feedback for Madison. Like I downloaded this earlier. Someone came up with like a mock-up for a title card. I don't know if it shows right there. That would probably. I don't know if it shows up. It's Madison. Awesome. And then the subtitle is one Y, but it's not where you think, and it's coming 2024.
You gotta send that to me, Andrew.
I already sent it to you, actually.
Okay, great. Because I'll make an intro out of that or whatever for the next episode or something. But I
would watch that. I would watch it.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that again, I love the hand drawn art type scenes they have in the end credits. I enjoyed the end credits. I really did. They actually
flesh out the story a little bit because I think in one of them they showed the goat that she met when she went to that other dimension.
Yeah.
So it's like little tidbits of different parts of the show as well. Isn't it?
They do something different with every end credits. With every Disney Plus series. Every Disney Plus series has its own personal type of end credit scenery. Mm-hmm. This one has its own style too. It's almost comic book esque. And then it's hand.
Well, they're court renderings basically.
Oh yeah, like courtroom sketch.
Yeah. You're right. They are. They're court renderings. And it is almost laid out in like a way in which they display the events of the episode. So it's very cool. I love the fact that in this Disney Plus series, they are doing an end credits on every single episode. We're getting one every episode. Yeah. They've been sporadic. Like in the other Disney Plus shows, I can remember.
Or they'll usually be like on the very last episode.
Yeah, I mean, Miss
like
Marvel.
Most of them.
in the Miss Marvel series, they didn't even have one. I don't think there was one single end credit scene.
The very last episode had it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, and like going back to WandaVision, I think the first one we saw was episode 8.
Last episode. Yeah, where she's with the Darkhold.
Didn't they do one? No, didn't they do one in episode 8 too, where they unveiled White Vision? Or was that
they did do one. They did one earlier in the season, but not like I don't think it was in the first half. I think the first like end credit scenes like probably episode 6 or 7 around there.
Yeah. No, they did. Yeah, Bobby, they had other ones other than just.
Oh, yeah, and then I think they had another one where the guy that was playing Wanda's brother, the fake Petro, where he's like Snooper's gonna snoop or something like that to Monica Rambeau. Wasn't that one of the?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
She's like sneaking around the back of Agatha's house, and he finds her.
No, that was the end of the episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's been a while since I seen it. I thought it was one of the end credits.
It was. I mean, hell, it's been Cyber and I
almost 2 years.
We reviewed WandaVision. Me and Cyber did. We reviewed WandaVision. That's how we got started with the Bleeding Edge, basically.
Oh, okay.
Was with WandaVision. So if anything, in a way, these Disney Plus series are almost tied to us, like by the hip in a way. Like we've always covered all of it. It's what we do, it's kind of a staple for us. Now, of course, we have 3 fucking different series going on at the same time right now. We've got Lord of the Rings, the Ring of Power. We've got episode reviews of those on Wednesday nights. We've got the She-Hulk episode reviews, and then on Sundays, and this Sunday you'll see me and Bobby and Cyber together at 7 p.m. We'll do House of Dragons episode 3 review. So hey, we are one TV series, television show reviewing mother effer over here at Bleeding Edge. All right, we're getting after it. But great episode. Glad to see that they're going to interject Titania back into the play. I think that, she was supposed to be, I guess, almost like the main villain, like Bobby said, of the series, I thought. And so I'm glad they're going to bring her back and give her more to work with than just her getting, smashed into a wall and then getting knocked out, and that being the end of it, I want to believe that the way, Jamil Ali, I can't pronounce her name. Jamil Ali or whoever her name is, the actress that plays Titania, she's listed as the second character, the second name in the credits, right underneath Titania. So at that point, I've got to imagine that they're going to keep her in the MCU. She's not going to just be in She-Hulk. You're going to see her down the road. She is
I think in the comics, she was like, her origin story was Secret Wars. So I'm assuming she'll probably be in Secret Wars when they get there.
Yes. In Secret Wars, Dr. Doom is the one that, he's the one that gives her, her real powers, her real power set. But great episode. Wong was great. Great end credit scene. And I'll give the episode, I guess, probably a 1 out of 10. I'll give it a 7.75. Maybe 7.5.
All right. Awesome. What would you rate it, Bobby?
I'd give it an 8. Nice solid 8. I thought the comedy was good. The action was good. I thought they progressed the storyline with Titania at the end. I liked that she's going to be coming back. So I give it a good solid 8.
Awesome. Andrew?
I think 8.5 just for the comedy factor alone. Like, it's just, is it the best storytelling? No, of course not. It's just fine, right? But it's just the performances and the delivery and the timing of everything is just so good that, like, if I'm having fun, especially like, I'm comparing this to my head. I was like, I don't think I even laughed this hard at like Love and Thunder, honestly. So I think Love and Thunder, I found it kind of annoying sometimes, but this is like, it was just really funny. So yeah, 8.5, 8 around there.
Awesome. Thank you. And I would have to give the episode a solid 10 for myself.
Wow.
The comedy had me. The comedy had me. As soon as the comedy happened, that was it. It was mine. And then I absolutely loved that final sequence. That was absolutely freaking hilarious. I absolutely loved it. And anything that Wong's in gets a 10 for me anyways, because I love Benedict Wong. He is freaking amazing. He's on point, hilarious all the time. I remember when he first popped up in, Doctor Strange 1, and he was probably about midway through the film. He finally popped up. He's a librarian, and he has those conversations with Doctor Strange, and he's like, "Hey, Beyonce," and stuff like that, and he doesn't get it. And then later on in the film, at the very end, when he finally gets one of the jokes and he starts laughing, I'm like, I knew it. I knew Benedict Wong was going to be perfect as this character, and he was going to be fantastic. So I was very happy to see him get such an extended stay in the MCU so far, and I'm loving it. So glad to see him around. But yeah, anyways, that is the end of the episode, guys. Thank you very much for an amazing review. We will, of course, be back next Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, discussing the 5th episode, and Mr. TrueKnowledge will be hosting that episode. And of course, want to thank everyone that was in the comment section. Thank you for stopping on by and giving a comment. You guys rock. And we'll just go around the panel and, say your spout out anything you like about what you do, like your channel, whatever you like to talk about. And then, of course, we'll make our rounds to Mr. TrueKnowledge, and he'll close us out. Starting with you, Andrew.
Sorry, I didn't expect you to go straight to me. I was distracted. Apparently, someone just sent me this while you were talking, that the hype man, the guy who plays him, is over 100 years old. I'm trying to see if that's actually true, because I'm looking at his credits on IMDb, and I'm trying to look for a birth date, but I saw someone a friend of mine who I trust said the guy who plays him is over 100 years old. So I'm like, what? He does look old, but imagine
he's
being
pretty
100.
spry for 100 years old. He's spry.
Yeah. So I can't find anything right now. I'm not going to waste more time looking for it. But anyways, thank you, Cyber. So yeah, my name is Andrew Roscoe. I am a writer, a staff writer for geeknewsnow.net. That's the full website. I also host a video game podcast called DuoSense that I do with my best friend, where we just talk about every week. We just talk about what's the newest thing in gaming news, what we've been playing, and then at the end we do a little gaming trivia kind of section to round it out. And then the last thing I do is I'm also on a Star Wars YouTube show that I co-host with another friend, a separate friend, called My Star Wars Show. Not very original, I know. It's just called My Star Wars Show. And that one's less common. That one's probably twice or once a month. And we kind of just talk about a specific topic about Star Wars. The last one we just did was I think it was our favorite Star Wars video games growing up. That was the last one we did. So it's My Star Wars Show on YouTube. DuoSense, my gaming podcast, you can find it on anywhere where there's podcasts, or any podcast service you can find it in. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, definitely people check out Geek News Now Network. Look for Andrew and his amazing podcasts and stuff like that. I've actually stopped on by a couple of them and checked them out, and they're really fun. So definitely stop on by.
Thank you.
Check them out. All right, Bobby, do you have anything you'd like to plug, sir?
I'm pretty new to the whole podcasting thing, and I'm new to MCU Bleeding Edge. But we've been doing a Sunday show for House of the Dragon. We've been reviewing and recapping pretty much every episode. This Sunday, I believe we're starting at 7 this week. We'll be doing episode 7 Eastern, 6 Central. We'll be doing episode 4, and I'm really looking forward to it, because the series is starting to get good, in my opinion, and I'm really excited for it. So everybody, check it out.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's a great segue, Bobby. It's episode 3, because we're a week behind.
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
We're not lined up with the actual
right.
I guess timeline of the show, right? But either way, we are doing our review on Sunday, and Cyber will be there for the first time. He's going to be doing our first House of the Dragon review, with him. So that'll be fun, and we're having a good time with him. I think that honestly, it's really, really great right now that we actually for the first time are reviewing 3 different TV series that are all of different genres from different timelines with different characters. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot in a way to take in and to some extent, but fun too. You know what I mean? Like, and honestly, it's a nice change, I guess. Honestly, also want to point out that, and I'm sure eventually we'll end up getting Andrew and Bobby P on one of these too. We're going to be doing the second episode of the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power review on Wednesday evening, coming up here for the next week at 9:35 p.m. Eastern, 6:35 p.m. Pacific. We do episode 2. We did episode 1 on Wednesday with Raymond from Booze and Chill YouTube and podcast, our buddy over there. We hadn't seen him in a while. And besides that, that's pretty much it. She-Hulk episode 5 next Friday. Oh, I'm actually going to step down from moderating duties for that one. I actually forgot about that. And Alexis Hania from the Rogan Broadcasting Network is going to come in, and I'm going to jump on the panel, and we're going to let her go ahead and jump in and moderate one of the episodes. We're going to have more women than men on the show, unlike this all testosterone episode review. So that'll be interesting. And overall, I just want to thank Cyberneticshark, my co-host, for doing an excellent job moderating the episode. Although I do not agree with his 10 out of 10 rating for the show, for the episode. It's okay. I respect his opinion, and that's fine. I'm glad he enjoyed it. And again, like he said, thank you very much for everybody that participated in the comment session. And thank you to Bobby P. and thank you to Andrew for coming on the show with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, that is it. We will see you next time. And this is the MCU Bleeding Edge. We're out.
Peace.
Yeah. They hate when you elevate. The second of losses, I'm handing them out. Yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment. I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly. I had to go demonstrate.